Our guest today is Dr. Barry Oliver from the South Pacific Division. In fact, he was the division president there for 8 years. Dr. Oliver, welcome to Mission 360
Thank you,
TV.
Laurie. It's nice to be with you.
Today you're going to tell us a story about a missionary who served for many years in your division, Pastor Len Barnard.
Yes, I am. I actually knew Pastor Barnard personally. He is one of the real characters of our division. He was a New Zealander originally, and he joined up with the armed forces during World War II. He was a medic in Papua New Guinea. And I guess it was while he was a medic that he got a real feel for the country, and especially for the people. He used to see the planes in operation while he was there as a medic during the war. And when he finished his time in the services, he went back to New Zealand and he trained to be a pilot. He had this burning in his bones. He returned to New Guinea after the war, not as a pilot, although he was trained, and he worked for just a short time in a government office. But it wasn't long before he expressed his interest to being employed by the church, because he even then wanted to see the church utilising planes. But he was also trained as a medic, and so he went very early to one of our Hansenite or leper colonies up near Mount Hagen. And for a number of years, he and his family worked there at the Mount Hagen Hansenite colony, or Togava Hospital as it's known. And while there, they experienced the highs and the lows, I guess, of mission service. It's not easy working with people who have that terribly debilitating disease. They moved around a little, more than a little. They went to quite a few places in their service. All the time, Len saw these planes flying overhead, and he said, "We've got to have one of those planes." He had experiences such as walking into the Karamui cannibal country in the highlands of New Guinea. It took him 48 days, I kid you not, 48 days of hard walking to get from his base of operations into
It's like
to where the people
planes operating.
and he would see the planes of some of the other missions going overhead.
So the church had no planes at all at
We
that
are
point?
pre-1964. This is the 50s, this is the 60s. I don't think we actually had planes anywhere in the world at that time. The earliest planes that we had were both the experiences I'm telling you about, and I think in South America also. Someone will probably prove me wrong, but Len saw these planes and he went to the Union mission leaders and made a case, and they providentially thought it was a very good idea. And so after negotiations, a plane was accessed, and Pastor Len Barnard travelled down to Sydney, Australia, where the plane was dedicated, and I think I've got this right, June 27, 1964. The division president dedicated the plane, Len was there, and then he flew the plane back to the highlands of Papua New Guinea. And I remember reading, he was telling the story as he was coming across the Gulf of Papua and beginning to go up into the highlands, which 12, 14, 16,000 feet above sea level. There was a huge bank of clouds, as there just about always is up there. And he wondered however in the world he was going to get this little Cessna, 180 Cessna, into the Groker airstrip. Providentially again, the clouds opened and he was able to go right through. And I remember him telling many stories, time and time again, of how the clouds would just open and these little planes were able to go through. And he used to tell stories about the three angels flying on the wings of the plane. It was quite something. He had that story. So the plane was dedicated and began operations on June 30, 1964. And all of a sudden, the mission work opened up. Len was able to operate the plane. He had a good friend and colleague, Pastor Colin Winch, who at the time was living down on the coast of Madang, and together they pioneered Adventist aviation in Papua New Guinea and the South Pacific Division, and pretty much in the world apart from probably some others as well who I'm sure their stories will be also told. Len and Colin flew the plane, delivered medical supplies, took evangelistic opportunities, and really began to open up. Of course, there weren't all that many airstrips at that time, and so gradually airstrips were being built, and they would fly into very remote places in the highlands on the coast of that country. 2 years after the operation started, there was almost a tragic accident. Well, it was an accident. It was almost tragic.
Okay.
Len was trying to test the compression of the the propeller, and as he was turning it, suddenly it gave way, and it pretty much sliced his leg. It was almost literally hanging by a piece of skin, his leg.
Right through the bone and everything.
What was that?
Right through the
bone, everything. And they said he will never walk again. They were going to take it off, but again, providentially, after I think it was 8 months, he was able to walk again, and before long he was back in Papua New Guinea, flying the planes once again. So tremendous commitment. This is a story of great commitment, of great vision. He was just an ordinary guy.
He doesn't sound like it.
But he was an incredible person, and so were all the others. You know, the story of Adventist Aviation in Papua New Guinea is we've had about 66 pilots, 30 engineers just in that country. Then there's the Solomon Islands, and then Len was instrumental in founding Adventist Aviation in Australia, where people would go out into the outback to remote places. Just an incredible story of Adventist mission. You know, we have so much in our history.
Yeah, we do.
That often
Very
we don't
rich.
realise, but he's rich and he is really inspirational. I take my hat off to Pastor Len Barnard.
He's a man I wish I could have met. Thank you, Dr. Oliver, for sharing his story. I'm Lori Falbo for Mission 360 TV.